We're very excited because it's about time to introduce you to our next Max Muscle Authentic athlete. And joining us in studio, Jacob Weiland, BMX racer. Look at that picture, mid-air action shot. That's a pretty good look for you, mid-air.
Yeah, thank you.
How, because you know we see a lot of young athletes, but how does one get into BMX? You're 18 years old, you got into it when you were 12. How did that happen?
Well, you know, I've always kind of been drawn a little bit more towards action sports in general, whether it was dirt bikes, mountain biking, basically anything on wheels and kind of went fast. So I kind of started getting drawn towards BMX racing. My younger brothers actually started out in it, and I went to a couple of events with them, and I just started competing alongside with them because it was a family event. We had, you know, my two younger brothers, and our whole family, we got involved with the sport, and so it was just something that naturally came to all of us from, you know, dirt biking and mountain biking, all that. So it was something that we really caught on to quite nicely. And we did really well in the sport with it. So
family bike rides for the Weilands, very different than most, not beach cruisers down the street with baskets.
Definitely not. It was definitely some more high speeds and some jumps instead of simply going around the block or around the neighborhood.
Now, was it easy for your parents to watch you guys? I mean, they got you guys into it. Was it easy for you, for them to watch you competing in BMX?
It was, except for the point of crashes and injuries that occasionally happen. They're unfortunate, but it is something that comes with the sport. So coming from a background of motocross and mountain biking, it is something that we kind of became a little bit more used to. And so it's something that we've accepted as a possibility from competing in the sport. So. And
do you ever get used to it? Does the thought of that ever completely leave your mind?
No, it never will. You'll always have that adrenaline rush right before you go out on the gate because you know that potentially this could be your last race for a year or two at most.
So a lot of people know people that, you know, you go to basketball practice, you go to baseball practice, soccer practice. How do you, Jacob, train for your races? What's your training regimen like?
Well, the big thing with BMX racing is we have what we call sprints, which is basically you set up X amount of area and you sprint from your bike from point A to point B as quickly as you possibly can. And with my regiment, I have timers that I have set up that actually time how I do from A to B, and I'm able to adjust my body position, how I'm spinning, basically take a look at it from a more technical point of view than simply just trying to watch someone go from A to B and roughly guess what you're going through. And so because I'm able to have my younger brothers also compete as well, we're able to kind of get a little family training going on in front of the house, and we get some, you know, neighbors out there that used to compete with us as well. And so it was kind of a huge family involved sport. And then also along with going to the gym, you know, squats or, you know, different training regimens that my coach has set up for me. And so I try and follow through his plan.
Wow, that's very cool. Now, there's another element of this, right? I mean, you have sponsors. Do you go out and seek them? They find you? How does that all come into play in competition?
Well, it's actually kind of a 50-50. Sometimes the athletes can reach out to some of the different companies, not so much for sponsorship, but just to kind of get their name out to the companies. And there are also major teams that try and reach out to the athletes, so they have scouts that go out and they watch all the races and they scan through social media and stuff like that to try and find new riders.
All right, so I'll compare it to another sport again. Think about pitchers are constantly maybe tweaking their motion or trying to develop another pitch. So what kind of things now? You've obviously been competing competitively for 6 years. What are the things that are you tweaking things maybe when you're working out or you're preparing that you haven't broken out in a race yet?
Oh, constantly. The big thing that we're trying to focus on every single rider in the sport is what we call the gate start. And so at the beginning of the gate, you're trying to constantly find different body position. You're trying to improve your form just so that way you can get out, because the beginning of the race is the most important part, because if you can get out in front at the very beginning, most likely you'll be able to hold it for the rest of it. So that's the key aspect for the sport. So constantly, whether it's the gate, then there's also what they call a manual, which is where you're able to ride on your back wheel over the lip of a jump and try and just cruise over. There's, you know, the basic jumping, pumping, and cornering is something that a lot of people don't seem to really think too much about from a technique point of view. But when you're going through a corner with 8 other guys on a corner that can only hold about 4 at the most, you have to get really comfortable a couple inches apart from each other at high speeds.
I'm going to watch those races very differently. Jacob Weiland, the Max Muscle Authentic athlete, well-deserved congratulations. It's great to have you and good luck.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.